All right, so let's take a look at this in action. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead now and switch to the digital viewfinder so we can see what we're looking at through this. All right, I'm going to hit that button there. All right, now we're looking at the little lens cap there. Now here is your coarse adjustment, or you can refer to it as zoom. You can see the lens goes in and out. And then here's your fine adjustment to get things in nice detail. So let's try to do that here. I can zoom into the lens cap, and then I can focus in with my fine tune, and I can zoom out, and then I can fine focus. All right, so let's talk a little bit about lighting and how you change the lighting, how you can change your lighting settings while shooting. All right, so essentially your most common feature, most common button is going to be this main rotary dial here, right after your shutter button right here. All right, so go ahead and let's rotate that dial now to the left. And what's happening, as you can see in my camera, the image is becoming very, very bright. So this little indicator down here, mine says 5, that's 5 seconds. So that means the shutter is going to be open for a full 5 seconds. So if I rotate it this way, it's going to get darker. And I can go to my highest level, and for this camera, is 4,000. That's 1/4000th of a second. So the shutter, which essentially works like this, it's a little, almost like blinds, like Venetian blinds, and it just sort of, 3 of them just kind of go over. They start from the top, I believe, and go down. And then just lets that light for that instant hit the sensor, which again is back here, is the measure. But you can see that with 1/4000th of a second right now, I don't have enough light. It's totally dark, so that's really totally useless. So let's go ahead and rotate that down to something a little bit more in the middle. Okay, we'll say 1/30th of a second. Now it still looks a little dark. Now before we talk about f-stop and ISO, let's talk about this exposure meter right here. Now if I hit this again, we can see that exposure meter a little bit larger. And if you look in your viewfinder, you'll see one in there as well. So here's my exposure meter, and if I press down just halfway on my shutter button, you'll see I get a little meter line there, and then I can rotate and change the settings of my shutter speed, and the line will move up or down. So it moves up for higher exposure or overexposed, see up there by 3, that would be very bad. And then it moves down for underexposed, -3. What I want to try to do is keep it essentially right in the middle. That's where you're going to get the best exposure. Because if you have it up to 2 or 3, that's overexposed. You've lost information. So you can see in here that everything's sort of bleached out, and you've lost information. That information isn't being picked up by the sensor, so you can't fix it in post-production. Same goes for images that are too dark. You can't lighten those up in post-production because it's just going to look blurry. The information isn't there. It's all dark. And so post isn't going to help you. So you really want to always make sure you're somewhere right in the middle. Okay, so that's the shutter speed. Now remember, a faster shutter speed means a more crisp image. So if, let's say, of a car that's moving or someone that's jumping in the air, if you want them to look frozen there, almost like they're floating, you need a higher shutter speed, really fast. Now if you have a slow shutter speed, any joggling of your camera at all is going to blur the image. Now you might want a low shutter speed. Let's say, for instance, if you wanted to take a shot at night and you wanted the taillights of the car to streak, well, then you could open your shutter for a longer time. That's something that you could do.